everybody. I am Emily McMaster, the Communications Director for Granite State Ambassadors. And today we're very excited to be joined by Ashley Rowley, who is the Executive Director of the Lake Sunapee Region Chamber of Commerce, and Elise Crossman, who is the Executive Director of the Greater Claremont Chamber of Commerce. And so thank you so much for joining us today. And today we are going to learn about the new Sugar River region. So first, let's start with each of you telling us a little bit about yourselves and what you do.
Sure. So I'll kick things off. I'm Ashley with the Lake Sunapee Region Chamber. I am the director here, and we're based in New London. We serve 12 communities across the region, if you will, the area. And it's basically all the communities that surround Lake Sunapee. And we are in very close proximity to some of our neighboring chambers and our neighboring friends. And we focus a little bit on tourism here in the Lake Sunapee region, mostly because we've got the ski mountains, we've got the lakes, and we have a relatively affluent community here. And for the most part, it's a lot of retirees, but a lot more families are moving to our little area. So here at our little information booth, we give out all sorts of information year round about what's going on, who our chamber members are, and what opportunities are here for the residents and the travelers and the guests to the region. Take it away.
So I'm Elise. I am with the Greater Claremont Chamber of Commerce. We are based in Claremont, clearly, and we serve a few of our surrounding communities as well. We have some overlap similarly with neighboring chambers. So really our attitude is if you are in Claremont or want to be in Claremont, you can participate with our chamber. So unlike Ashley, we are not as tourism heavy. So we don't have a specific information booth. We have a chamber office located downtown, and we do a lot of work collaboratively with our city and other entities, providing business resources as well as resources for those visiting.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing some background. And so now let's talk a little bit about this newly established Sugar River region. So tell us a little bit about the region and where it's located.
Sure. So I'll start, and then Elise will she can fill in whatever gaps. So essentially, the Sugar River region is Sullivan County, essentially. So all of the towns in Sullivan County, there are 7 tourism districts or 7 tourism regions from travel and tourism at the state level. And our technical region is the Dartmouth Lake Sunapee region. However, the majority of individuals in our community don't necessarily resonate with the Dartmouth piece of it. They feel as though it's a little too far north, it's a little bit out of our wheelhouse. That community is so much different than what we are experiencing down here in this Route 103, Route 11 corridor. So in terms of, looking horizontally, what element is horizontal? And for us, it's the Sugar River. And the Sugar River and Lake Sunapee have a symbiotic relationship. So it makes perfect sense for the Lake Sunapee region and the Sugar River region to be one and the same. And we offer something different here on the most eastern side, if you will, of the Sugar River than the western side does. So we're our own little area. My hands are helping, I'm sure, but we're our own little space. And we wanted to find some way for identity. We wanted to find our identity and what that looks like. Because we're not Concord, we're not Manchester, we're not the Seacoast, but we're also not Upper Valley, and we're also not the Dartmouth area. So that's kind of how the conversation got started.
Exactly. And so sort of where the naming piece came from was that the Sugar River or one of its tributaries reach every community in what has been designated as the Sugar River region. So kind of, if you look at a map, everything from Lake Sunapee across over to the Vermont border, where the Sugar River flows into the Connecticut River. So that's sort of the general, if you're looking at it geographically, area that we're talking about, and the smaller communities that flow off of that. Now, Ashley and I did not come up with this idea on our own. We actually didn't come up with this idea at all. We're part of a much larger group that has come together and has started to say, what is our identity? And who are we, and who do we want to be? And how do we make that happen? And so that involves folks from Sullivan County government, involves folks from UNH Cooperative Extension, and it involves a number of businesses and organizations here in the region that have come together to say, okay, let's do this. Let's really create a true identity for ourselves and work towards creating a DMO or similar type organization.
Great. So you've kind of already touched upon the why of this initiative, why this was started. Is there anything that you want to add in that regard?
I mean, I think the initiative itself gives all of us, the thing about the area is that there are so many different grassroots efforts that happen in each individual community, and a lot of them are duplicated, right? A lot of the organizations in one town are doing the same thing as the neighboring town. And there's no reason for that, because we're trying to achieve the same goal. We're trying to reach the same people. So having an opportunity for a lot of people to come together and say, hey, listen, here's my calendar, here's my event, here's my idea. How can we do this together? I think that collaborative feel was really what sparked a lot of this conversation to even get this started. I feel like people have felt this way for a long time, but there hasn't been anyone who said, you know what? Let's just do it. Let's just try it. Let's just see what it looks like. Let's see who the movers and shakers are that can sit down at this table and say, hey, this is the calendar. This is what we're doing. These are our plans. This is what we think we need to do. Does anyone else have any ideas? And then all of a sudden, if one person starts saying that, then the next person kind of adds on. So it's kind of become a snowball effect, I think. But I think it's going to give the whole area a sense of ownership. You know, they're going to be able to use this logo, right? They're going to be able to look at this and say, oh my gosh, I live here. Oh my gosh, come and visit me here. And I think that giving it a name, giving it a face really just adds more chutzpah to it. You know what I'm saying? Chutzpah.
That's a great word.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think a lot of it, especially in the Claremont and Newport area, stems from really feeling as though we didn't have an identity regionally, because like Ashley touched on, we didn't feel as though we were part of the Upper Valley, part of Dartmouth, and for some in Claremont, even not part of necessarily Lake Sunapee. That felt very far kind of away. There's a lot of folks in our communities that view it as people just drive through our community to get to the lake. So for us, we're working on a better way to make them stop on their way there. But we're very excited for this collaborative initiative.
Great. So, you know, your two organizations are certainly involved in this initiative, but what are some other organizations that have been influential in this process?
Sullivan County has been the number one. Sullivan County has provided so many resources and so much leadership when it comes to this. And as well as Elise mentioned earlier, the UNH Cooperative Extension, Penelope Whitman's been another person who's just really pushed this program forward. And this is kind of something that they'd been working on, you know, for years, but kind of more based Newport, Claremont. And I think that, you know, with the Love Sullivan County, like, piece of it, they created this whole, you can touch on that too, the Love Sullivan County project. That was kind of the start of this conversation. And then it kind of grew a little bit from there, saying that, well, you know, the people who are in New London have to go to Newport for certain things. The people who are in Claremont have to go to Newport for certain things. So it's like, in terms of space, it made sense for a lot more people to be in the conversation. So I would say Sullivan County and then UNH Cooperative Extension really started it. And then as chambers, we've just built a really, really strong bond between our three chambers, Claremont, Newport, and here. And for us, it's been really helpful to not only plan our schedule and look at our calendar year, which is a little overwhelming at times, right? A little overwhelming, but we love it because it gives us an opportunity to support each other and to support each community, which then turns around and proves to the members and the businesses we have here that it's important to stay connected with the Newport and Claremont residents and businesses and, you know, partnership organizations.
Yeah, so about 4 years ago, the county started their work on this project in very much a kind of information exchange, and not like it was just a wide open call. Anybody that's interested in this topic, if you will, come to the high school. We're having a meeting type ideas. And from that sparked what Ashley mentioned, the Love Sullivan Project. So what that is, it still exists, but is an app where you take a photo of your favorite place. And it's uploaded to a map and you share a few sentences about why is it your favorite? And then, there's Ashley with our fun graphics. And so through that project is what then realized that most of the things people were posting about were our natural resources and our outdoor recreation. And so that's what then led to the naming of officially the Sugar River region. Now, of course, as we all know, COVID kind of slowed down the project, and it shifted a bit. So originally there were some different categories identified of that we should be working on. And really it shifted into this real true regional identity and developing a DMO to help market this region as a whole. So that's sort of how it came together that way. And as we touched on is there are a handful, I think there's about 15 folks kind of at the table as the smaller group of business leaders, kind of influencers, et cetera, in the region that are kind of doing that work. And then similarly, there's a larger group that is keeping abreast of what's happening and being part of similar kind of, here's where we're at. This is our thoughts of going forward, but what are your ideas? So that's really where we're at right now.
Well, it's great to hear about what you've accomplished so far and where you're at right now. And so what do you have in mind for the future of this project?
I think our goal right now is to establish the DMO, right? We want to make sure that this particular, Sugar River Region Destination Marketing Organization has rules. It's got people who are in the right places to make the right decisions. I think that's kind of organizationally where we want to be first. But looking long term for people like us who love event planning, we do love networking and we love opportunities to all get together and to all experience, what is so great about our area and how can we get together to make and showcase that in some sort of an event fashion, a gala, a tour, a guided hike, or whatever it might be. But those kinds of events are kind of how we see things moving forward too, because we want to be sure that we are looking at the entire Sugar River region as a tourism piece. You can come and you can do mountain biking at Arrowhead, and you can come and you can have lunch or dinner, or you can stay here. So we want to look at it from a tourism piece of it and say, what are all of the assets we have that we can then turn around and then project that out to all of the people traveling to this area? And if you haven't traveled to this area before, we want to be the organization and the partnering organizations to help you plan your trip, to help you understand, all of the different assets, the reasons that we love Sullivan County, right? Why should you love it as well? So I think that first it's organizational pieces, and then we're going to move into more of the outreach and events and letting people know who we are and what, what the actual Sugar River region offers.
Absolutely. I think really boils down to strength in numbers. Any one of our chambers, sure, we could spend marketing dollars to market to outside of New Hampshire or even, northern New Hampshire or southern New Hampshire. But if we're united and essentially there's a larger group of people coming together, there's more dollars, there's more people, there's more things to promote to have people visit here. And in reality, it's 35 minutes from Ashley's office to mine. There's a lot of things that folks can experience in that time, whether it is outdoor recreation, or maybe it's cultural and the arts, or maybe it's historical societies. There's a lot of things here, and this is going to help us promote them, not only to tourists, but to the folks in New London that don't know that there's mountain biking trails at Arrowhead, and vice versa, the folks in Claremont that don't know about the fells. So
it's all a collaborative effort. Yeah, for sure.
Need to check out Arrowhead now.
You like mountain biking, right? Yeah,
I do.
Emma's an outdoor enthusiast. I feel like you are.
Okay. Very much so. So, as you know, our Granite State ambassadors are out and about in the state of New Hampshire, promoting all different activities and all the different regions. So, as GSAs who are interacting with guests in New Hampshire, what can we do to help promote and support this new region?
I think the biggest thing is, and this is what's great about Granite State Ambassadors. It's mostly word of mouth, right? It's an opportunity to be able to say, hey, I've been there and I think you should try it too. So I think, once we start getting our feet, what is that phrase? Getting your feet solid, or getting your feet, I don't know, your shaky legs are not so shaky anymore. Once we get a little bit more secure in what we're looking at, and our organization's structure, I think it would be super great to bring the GSAs up and to do like a Sugar River Region tour so that that one-on-one, that personal reference, that personal recommendation can happen. And then of course, we'll have information once we have a solid website or a solid resource to land, we'll put it on all of our chamber websites. And I know our GSAs are great at utilizing chambers all across the state and saying, hey, if you're looking for this, check out the local chamber. But I think, making sure that's something that the GSAs can share as well is going to be important. And then of course, once we get down to a really great place, we can create something that's a single page, a little handout that simply states, here's what we're looking at, here's an overall overview, and then we can get that out to the GSAs to help kind of promote the area in all the places they are, the airport, the Concord Chamber, all these other places too. So that would be helpful.
Yeah, I mean, I think really the tagline that's on the logo is New Hampshire made here. And so I think that pretty much whatever you're looking for, we are the quintessential New Hampshire community to offer that. Mm-hmm. And it's also appealing that it is not necessarily well known. So you're kind of finding some hidden gems.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're not heading to Winnipesaukee on a Memorial Day weekend when you can't even have a moment to breathe because there's so many people there. I think that that's a super important part, is that our area is not necessarily one that people immediately go to. And we're not saying we want to change that, but we want to offer another piece in everyone's toolbox. You know what I mean? Instead of going up here, why don't we consider trying to go to our central western part of the state? What's happening there? What can I do there? Can I hike? Can I bike? Can I boat? Can I go to a museum? And the answer is yes to all of that. So to be able to have one landing place where everyone who's interested can go to is going to be super important. And the promotion with GSAs is going to be even more important to make sure that personal recommendation and referral gets out.
Absolutely. Well, I think this has given a great overview of the Sugar River region. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with us today that we haven't talked about?
I'd like to once again showcase the logo. I'll bring it in real close. So this is the logo. Oh, awkward. And you'll see the river, you'll see the mountains, you'll see autumnal colors, you'll see some loons in the top, all sorts of things.
As well as the smokestack, which speaks to the fact that all of these communities have involved manufacturing, and that's how they got their start and how many of them are our main employers now.
And in a similar sense, I think about Manchester and all of the different mill buildings that they have there. You can find that same exact feel and that same exact vibe right in Claremont. Right on that river, you have those mill buildings that are repurposed and reused for local businesses. And that's kind of, people love that. They go to see those buildings, and Claremont's a perfect place for that. So, I mean, overall, I think it's important we're still getting secured in what we're doing, and we're still organizing things logistically. But, we have hopes, we have dreams for this, and we're hoping that, sooner rather than later, we'll be able to have a landing page and we'll be able to shout it from the rooftops, and then make sure people have an opportunity to connect with us, to connect with, Sullivan County peoples, connect with UNH Cooperative Extension peoples, and just make sure that, the world knows about it. And maybe the world's a bit much, but, New Hampshire, New England, right? New England knows about it.
And I would say in the meantime, this project has brought the three chambers in the region much closer together. So if you were to reach out to one, and really what you were looking for is maybe in the neighboring, we now have that knowledge to direct someone to the right place, or even just give them the information. So. Mm-hmm.
Yep. It's really just opened up a great conversation and partnership between a lot of us.
Great. Well, thank you both so much for joining us today and sharing more about the region. We're excited to promote it with our GSAs, and we look forward to hearing more about it as it kind of takes off.
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do a tour. We're great at tours. We'll do a tour when we're ready to rock and roll.
Absolutely.
Sounds great. Thank you both so much.
You're welcome. Bye.